Hi, my name is Sophia Brockman. I currently serve as our Assistant Director of Be Well, and I am joined today by...
Hi, I'm Conchita Andrijeski, and I'm a licensed professional counselor in family medicine as well as student health.
So we love our students, we love working with our students. And so today for Be Well Week, we are doing kind of a mini series all about building your happiness inventory. And so as Conchita, you work with our students very one-on-one in very intimate settings. And so when we look at, the impact of emotional self-care, overwhelm, stress, burnout, all of that on the happiness inventory, I think it's a very special conversation that we need to be having.
Absolutely.
And so when you first, kind of meet with a student, how do you explain the difference in those stressors that they feel, whether it's, the general stress of just being alive versus that chronic stress of being a student? How do you relate that to them?
Sure. So one of the things that's always kind of in the forefront for me is like the intensity, the frequency, the duration, right? We all have to have stress. We all live with stress, and anxiety and stress is important, like before an exam, right? It gets us motivated. We want to focus. So if it's something that is just normal stress that after the exam or after the event, like I'm back to baseline, then we're good, right?
Yeah.
It's just situational. But when it becomes a feeling of being overwhelmed, right? They can't concentrate. They sit in front of a test and they forget everything. They maybe aren't eating very well. There's sleep disturbance. Their friendships are not fulfilling anymore. They might be isolating. So that's more where I'm kind of concerned. Like, let's talk about what happened that you've put yourself on the back burner, right?
Yeah, and so putting yourself on the back burner, what are some of those signs that you tell students to kind of watch out for? How can they be a little bit more aware of what's going on before it snowballs in to that emotional burnout that they may feel?
Right. I encourage them first, like, let's talk about what's your ideal self look like? When you are firing on all cylinders, what's happening, right? Are you meeting with friends? Are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you exercising? What are the things that you do that you're like, yeah, I feel really good, right? Because if we don't know that, then we can't be aware enough to know that I am falling into despair, right? I'm drowning. I can't get out of this, right? Where it's then it's like they're stuck in that sympathetic nervous system, right? And what I try to do is help them engage their parasympathetic by taking deep breaths, by slowing down, and like, what is going on in my life that I'm not protecting my sleep, I'm not saying no when I need to. Right, so those are the things I kind of look for, and how do I help my students that way,
Yeah, and slowing down, that's such a huge part of the theme of Be Well Week this year. And so I really wanted to focus on how do we teach our students how to break the grind. They're always, hustling, they're always trying to get to that next achievement.
Right.
And so when we look at self-care as a whole, how can our students interact with it past that general, I'm taking a bubble bath kind of thing?
Right. So I think that's the misconception, right? Is that the bubble bath or getting your nails done or a massage, like that takes a lot of time. And what I hear across campus from students is like they just don't feel like they have time, right? So what I like to do is help them figure out, like, if you are stressed, like for instance, me walking in today, right? You have to ask for what you need. And what I asked for was like, I just need a minute, right? I just need a moment to calm my breath down, take a drink of water, right? Those are moments of self-care. And I think those are the things that are missing, is understanding that it's just sometimes 5-10 minutes to walk outside. How do I ask for help? How do I tell people what I need? And I just need to slow down for a second.
And so how do they ask for help? Like, what is your go-to phrase that you give students when you're like, hey, if you're in the trenches of school, how do you ask, mom and dad for help versus a faculty member, your advisor, whoever?
It has to start with trust, right? Like, who's the person that I trust? I worry about the students that feel like they don't have anyone that they can say that to, right? It's very competitive on campus. And so when they feel very isolated or disconnected, I worry about them. So if there's a person, like how I ask is like, do you have a 3 a.m. person? Right? Who can you call at 3 a.m. That you're in trouble or that you need help? So sometimes it's a confidential phone call to the office saying, I just need to talk. And then they'll get scheduled with me, or just encourage them to maybe get online and just do a little bit of research. There's so many free mental health questionnaires online, right? That will then give them links on like, how do I ask for help?
Yeah.
You know, and there's I think students sometimes think if I ask for help, it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
You know, I'm supposed to be strong and I can handle this, and, you know, I want to be a helper. And actually asking for help is a sign of strength, because we can't do this alone.
No, we can't. I'm always told, you know, by other like healthcare professionals, humans were such communal people.
Yes.
Like we need that community, whatever it looks like for you. And I think our students a lot of times, you know, they get stuck in that just grinding culture where they have to be the best of the best. And they are the best of the best. They wouldn't be here if they weren't.
1000% agree. Yep.
And so I think, you know, finding that vulnerability within themselves to have those tough conversations, and to even just say, hey, I'm really struggling. And saying that to themselves is so difficult. And so, you know, I admire any student who does come to you, or they go to Timely Care, you know, or Care Team or whoever, and just simply says, hey, like, I just need to talk for a second. And so, you know, when we're talking about, you know, students taking care of themselves just outside of being a student, how do you recommend they go about like rediscovering hobbies or anything that just brings them that small little bit of joy?
Right. So like, that's important. I always ask, what did you do before you came to medical school? What were the things that used to be fun? And how come you're not doing those anymore? Right. So, you know, if I used to go cycling and I don't have time anymore. Okay, well, what if you just jump on your bike and ride to school? One of the things that I encourage them to do that is like a quick 3-minute self-care moment is just stop. When you feel your heart pounding and you're feeling like you can't breathe, just stop. And it's an acronym. Take a breath, observe your emotions, what is happening in my body, and then we proceed with intention, right? So maybe I have to walk out of the classroom for just a minute, you know, and then when I come back in, I'm going to proceed with intention, and I'm going to be able to focus on what's happening, you know?
Yeah, and so mindfulness, you know me, I'm always kind of preaching mindfulness to
you
our
are,
students.
You're fantastic, yes.
You know, for a lot of our students, it's such a new buzzword for them. I remember having to explain last year what affirmations were to a student. And, you know, when students hear mindfulness, I think they get kind of, it's just like, it's meditation. Like it's, you know, yoga. I don't like yoga. I don't like meditating. And I think, you know, stop or box breathing, something that just brings you back into that present moment is so necessary. And I think all of our students can definitely benefit from just employing that kind of skill.
Absolutely.
And so when you're in those settings, how do you go about kind of not pushing back against students, but kind of, you know, I don't know what you would call that, but just kind of contradicting what they think mindfulness really is. And saying, hey, like, it's just about you.
So I'll stop and ask questions, I get curious, because we all kind of do it. We all do mindfulness. We just might do it differently. For some people, it's prayer, So is there, you know, a prayer that is your go-to, What are the things that you always go back to that helps you? Trying to incorporate that you already do this. Let's just find how you do it. Don't do mindfulness the way I do it, because it may not work for you, But let's find how you do it and how you've been doing it, but didn't even realize it, What are the things that bring calm to the body, So that's kind of how I challenge it. It's like, okay, maybe you don't like the box breathing thing, that doesn't sound right, but let's find what you are already doing.
Yeah, I like that, because it's a lot of habit stacking is what it sounds like. What are you already doing, and what can you just kind of enhance a little bit?
Exactly, and be intentional by it, Because maybe they didn't know they were doing it. I've noticed some students that they tap. So tapping is a way of pattern repetitive movement that can calm, engages the parasympathetic nervous system, and they didn't even know that they're kind of already like, you know,
self-soothing.
They're self-soothing, even if it's they're tapping their feet, or there's sometimes I've noticed it with their hands, or they're sitting here and they're tapping their face. It's like, okay, let's just be intentional about it. As opposed to it just being like a nervous tick. Let's just bring awareness to that part, and what are you trying to do, And it's really kind of trying to release some energy. So let's just be intentional about it.
I love that. Yeah, because I know I've heard a lot like tapping your chest, like right above your heart and doing it like in a very slow rhythm, kind of brings you back, calms the body down.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
that's so
So
important.
sometimes they're doing it. I just try to find what they have been doing and then just make it intentional for them.
Yeah, I love that. And so, you know, we spoke about this very, very briefly. But, you know, a lot of our students identify as helpers. And when they're here, you know, they're constantly, I have to help other people.
Right.
I don't have time for me.
Right.
And so I've found it's kind of like that where we teach them how to like teach an inanimate object, you know, what they're learning in class, so they memorize it. Do you think that would be just beneficial, like if they're talking with a friend and it's like, you know, rather than focusing on like yourself and your stress, you know, try to identify what you would tell the friend
Right.
and what they're going through.
Yeah, I definitely use that when we talk about negative self-talk, right? Would you ever say those words to your friend if they come to you and they're struggling? And 99% of the time, no way would I say that to my friends, right? So like, then how come we're saying that to ourselves?
Yeah, I think our students are they're very hard. They're their harshest critics.
They are.
And it's so
They are.
hard. And, you know, I have no clue what they're going through because I'm not training to be a doctor.
Right.
But just, you know, trying to hold space for them at our events, you know, where I come to them. And I know I've told you this, you know, at every event we ask students, what are you doing today for self-care?
Right.
And it's such a tough question for them. And I hate that it's a tough question. And so I always try to challenge them because they'll perk up when they hear the word challenge.
Right.
And I'll be like, I'm going to challenge you, just do 10 minutes of whatever you want to do today.
Right.
That can be sitting in silence, it can be floor time, you know, it can be sitting in the sun, doing whatever you need to do.
Right.
And a lot of times students just need to hear that permission. And it's just kind of crazy to me that that's what they're waiting for.
I think sometimes they think it's a waste of time because I should be studying.
Yeah.
Right? So I challenge that by asking them, well, how many hours a day are you studying? Oh, well, I mean, probably 8 to 12. And I said, and so you are focused, right? I get down to like, let's talk about the granular time here, right? Are you really that focused for 8 hours?
Yeah.
Probably not, right? There's time that your brain is wandering off and you're spending on your phone because you need a break. Let's just be intentional about that. That's self-care.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's just reframing for them what self-care is, and that it can be, for me sometimes, it's just my first sip of my coffee in the morning, right? Like I love that. I just take a moment. I know my day could be busy, but it's just like, I love that coffee first thing in the morning, you know? Or making sure that they're eating, not skipping meals. Like, are they protecting their sleep?
Yeah.
Are they saying no when they need to say no? Right? And so we were talking about helpers, right? That's kind of the nature of this, our profession. We're all helpers, that we forget to take care of ourselves. Because if I am empty and I'm burned out, I cannot help you, right? So just encouraging them to, we've got to find moments throughout our day if we want to be effective caregivers.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, you know, our students, they're just, like you said, you know, they think taking care of themselves is a waste of time. And that's kind of the purpose of Be Well. Be Well was created to kind of counteract that and say, nope, person first, take care of you, and the rest will kind of follow with it.
Right.
And so our students, you know, they're definitely appreciative of the work, you know, both sides of the aisle do. But I think, you know, trying to embed well-being into the culture here at UNT Health is so reliant on our students being receptive of that.
Right.
And so when we go, you know, from a faculty, staff, you know, everybody but the student side of things, what do you recommend we do to kind of help alleviate that?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think sometimes there's a dissonance with them because they're hearing, be well, take care of yourself, find balance. The reality is, in my perspective, there is no such thing as balance, right? We cannot have a work-life balance when they're having to study so hard and the material is so intense and it's very rigorous. So what I encourage them is to find presence, right? When you are in the moment, when you're here at school, let's just focus at school, right? Let's just be a student and this is what I'm gonna do. But when I'm home, if home is not your study place, then let's just be home, right? And so if there's a moment, 5 minutes in the day that I can calm and just sit and maybe just, notice where I am, then I'm present in my body, and that is self-care.
I love that.
Right, because I think it's hard. It's the culture of endurance is what I've learned, right? And they have to, and it's competitive, and that is real, and they have to do these things. But for them to stay emotionally healthy and not burn out, we have to help them understand that, like, yes, we want, work-life balance, but it's hard to get that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think as a student, I tell people this all the time, I love working with students because this is kind of the last place they have that safety net, where they get to kind of, screw up, make mistakes before, they're thrown into the real world,
right.
as we call it.
Yeah.
But I love that, students feel comfortable enough to tell us, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I don't even know where to start.
Right.
And so I do love, like, all the advice you've given us. And so if you were to, I'm your student, my first time with you, and I was to say, tell me where to start, tell me what to do, what would you tell me?
I would encourage you to focus on what is your body saying, right? Where do you feel the stress, right? Where is it landing on you, right? Are you having GI problems? Are you having, like, some tachycardia? Are you having GERD? That is your body saying, like, we need to slow down, right? I like to think about what is going on around you and then focus on how is it affecting your body.
Yeah.
Right, because they don't pay attention. They will not eat, they will not sleep before a test, right? And so I think helping them protect that time, how do we set up a structure that works for them? I say sleep. I'm an 8 to 9 hour night girl. I got to get my sleep. Some people can function on 5, right? So just assessing, like, what works for them. I'm not going to tell them how to do it. I want to know what has worked for you in the past and how come you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Right, so let's reinforce those things, and how do we set some boundaries so that we protect our sleep, our meal planning, our exercise, or our friends, and then boundaries. How do I say no when I need to? So that's kind of the first thing that I would say.
I love that.
And find some support. Make sure that they're connected with the campus, and what are the needs that they're not meeting, right? How can they access all the support that they have here?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would do. Yeah,
I love that. That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
And so is there anything else that you want to share? You want to let them know?
Yeah, I think what I want them to know is that there's so much help available, right, and support. I'm in student health on Thursdays and Fridays, and will do whatever I need to get a student in. Because there are other things that I do on campus, but like, they're my priority. I want to make sure that they're going to get the help they need. We have timely care, right, the care team, and their faculty care about them more than they realize.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. Well, I appreciate your time and your expertise and just letting me chat with you.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah. And so thank you guys for watching, obviously, and of course. And so be sure, we'll have a couple other videos on financial wellness, community belonging. We know that's a really big one. We touched on that a little bit today. And so those will all be linked in the description below. And yeah, we appreciate your time. Bye.
Bye.